So today I'm going to show you how to use the new V2 system in Ultimate Camera System. Real quick, before I get into how to use it for new people, if you're using the old V1 version and you already bought it, when you open up your character or wherever you're using the component, you are going to get errors. You're going to get errors here, and the reason for that is I had to rename some of the nodes. So it used to be Animate Camera. Now there are two styles, so I named it Animate Camera Spring. If you just want the V1 version, this is the node you want to use. It's the same as the old Animate Camera. Also, make sure that when you go into Advanced Camera, you change the animation update rate to what you want. 30 FPS is a little choppy, but it's really optimized. 60 FPS will feel like 60 FPS, and 120 FPS will feel like 120 FPS. So just if you're coming from V1 and that's all you wanted to know, just use the Animate Camera Spring. Now, back to for new people. So, with that said, the first thing you need to do is you need to be able to show engine content so you can find the demo content that I'm using. So click the settings up here in the top right of the content drawer and go to show engine content, and under there you'll go to plugins and you will find the content folder for advanced camera component, or it might also be called Ultimate Camera System. I don't know what Epic names it. So, mine's in plugins. So now that we have that, I'm going to go over real quick what each node does, and then I'll show you the new Spline camera functionality. Okay, so as I stated earlier, the Animate Camera Spring is the equivalent to the old Animate Camera. It's the same code, but it now supports the animation update rate feature. It also now has an onFinished event, so if you drag off of it and you do add custom event, you can now trigger things such as another camera, movement, an FOV slide, or really anything you want. You can print strings, whatnot, whenever the animation is finished. So that is that. There's also another type called constant, and what this does is, I'm going to show you real quick, is it will animate the camera constantly at a constant speed, and then Spring starts fast and goes to a slower point. So let me show you here. Oh, that's the spline. Give me a second. Let's see here. I'll show you what this spline thing is here in a second, but it's a way to track things in the level and do flybys. Okay, so this is the constant. As you can see, it goes at a constant speed. Now this, what I'm about to do real quick, is called Spring. What this does is it starts fast and then slows down towards the end. So right there it moved really fast, but there was as you can see, it's a little smaller. Let me go ahead and slow it down so you can see better. It might be a little choppy because I'm video recording, and for some reason Unreal and video recording do not work well together. So that's constant, and then as you can see, it goes fast and then slows down and kind of drifts to a stop. So that is Spring and constant. Spring was the second one, constant was the first one. The next thing we have is we have new FOV animations. So I do not have those set up, but they work the same as Animate Camera Constants. The only difference is you have a float for target FOV, so you would put in like 120 or I don't know, 60 or something like that, and it would change the FOV instead of a location and rotation. If you want to know how I just did that, click on the target transform and do split struck pin, and you'll have location and rotation. Scale won't do anything, so don't worry about that. Okay, the next thing we have is a new Animate Camera Boon. Now what the Camera Boon does, and this is why this update was very important that I had to do it, is by default cameras don't have collision on them. So this would clip through the wall if I did it in V1, and even right here if I did the Animate Camera Spring, if I walked up to a wall and this was animating, it would clip through the wall. So I think I named it wrong. Camera Boom, what this is it's a spring arm. So to add one, you can go to spring arm right here, and then add it, and then put a camera underneath it. Now what spring arms do is they allow the camera to have collision. And you can handle that under this setting over here on the right. So if you're having a character or a pawn or really any camera that you want to be able to collide with walls or ground or whatever, you want to use the camera boom. So you want to use this Animate Camera Boom. And the way you do that is over on Advanced Camera, there is a tag and you just go to both of these, and you just add it in there. Just add it in there. Type in tag in the details panel, and you'll find component tags. Okay. Then that's pretty much everything. From V1, I'll go over real quick if you were new to the product. There's flashbang camera effects. You can set the intensity of the chromatic aberration, the bloom here. I'll go and show you what that looks like real quick. I believe it's right over here. So that's what flashbang chromatic aberration looks like. And you can change the duration and add sound effects, idle sound effects. Like while it's playing, you can do idle sound effects, and then when it starts, you can do it. Because flashbang effects usually have that. The next thing we have is disable camera shake and enable camera shake. These work together. So if we were to pull this off, we could get like a camera shake here. And then the disable would need to use this disable shake ref. If you don't connect the disable shake ref, it won't know which one to disable. Now, if you have a one and done camera shake, this is all you need. Once the animation's finished, or the camera shake's finished, you won't need to use this. It'll just end itself. But if you have a looped camera shake, then you'll want to use the disable camera shake, and you'll need to plug this in. You can also promote this to a variable by dragging off, and then you can get the variable and plug it in here. I'm not going to do that, but that's what you can do. Okay. The final thing is fade in and fade out of camera. Let me go look at so I can show you what it looks like 4 and 6. Okay. So this is fade out. It'll fade out to a black screen, and I know that kind of sounds a little weird because it's fading into a black screen, but they call it fade outs. And then you can just restart if you want. You can also fade in. And I've binded these to key presses in the demo content. So fade in, fade out, and these are great for cinematics, transitions, that kind of stuff. So that's it for the actor, the advanced camera component. There's another thing that you can do called spline cameras. And what these are is, it's just a spline and a camera component. And then I added the AC spline camera component, which comes with the plugin. Now, this right here has a couple settings. You have enable camera movement. This is basically play and pause. Think of it that way. Camera animation speed is how fast it moves along the spline. Component tag to use. This is the tag that you would use on the camera and the spline. And then there's also one other thing you can use it for. So if you are using a spawned actor to track, so that would be component on actor. This would be an actor that you would spawn into the world. It's like a player, an AI, maybe like a plane in the sky or something. That's what that would be. And in order to have this notice it, what you would do is you would go to the actor you want to track. So in this case, my character. And I'm going to put on capsule component. And then I'm going to place the tag there. Now, I've already done it. But you'll want to just add a tag to a component. You can have more than one tag, so if you wanted to track the mesh or the camera or the camera boom, you could. For this case, I'm just doing capsule component. So, and then once you have that, you would choose the one you want to test. So in this case, I would do third-person character. And now whenever I play and I let this play, the camera will track the third-person character. You can also do this with other stuff, but that's how you would do that. There's also should loop. This will loop it. So yeah. And then the other thing is track nothing. What this does is the camera will always face forward, so you can do like cinematic flybys and stuff like that. Like a lot of movies might have you fly over an ocean wave or something like that, or across a beach or a landscape or whatever. And then that's what the track nothing would do. Actor and level, what this does is, say I wanted to track this cube here, which I will show you in a little bit. The camera would always face this cube as long as I go to the camera, and I recommend doing it inside the level editor because it's easier. Just click on the spline camera blueprint that you made that has a spline and camera component, and go to AC spline camera, and then you'll see the options here. So in this case, I'm doing actor and level, and I've got the cube mesh. So just show you real quick. I'll click on it, and it's set to 250. So now if I were to, actually I'll set it up higher so it's faster. So if I were to go in here, and the way you would, in Unreal, the way you switch cameras between actors, so let's say you're playing as your character, and then you want to switch to a spline camera. You use the, you get the player controller, and then you set view target with blend. And then you just set the new view target to whatever actor you're using. Okay. And then if you don't want it to like animate to it, you can do 0 and it'll snap to the new camera. You can give it like an animation, but that's not always necessarily what you want to do. Another thing you can do with the spline camera that I use in my games is you can also just add the standard advanced camera, and then you can also add this tag to here, and now you get access to things like fade in, fade out, that kind of stuff, and you can just kind of like daisy chain these together. So that way it's not like an abrupt animation. It'll be fully animated. So if you connect these together on begin play or wherever you trigger like a delegate or whatever, it will now set this view target has the this has the new view target. So I've enabled camera movement, I've set the camera speed to 600, and it will track this cube here. So if I play, as you can see, it'll always track this cube. Now you probably want to make your spline not kind of jerky like that, but this is just a quick spline I made up, and it's always going to track the cube. And so I'm going to do one more thing here. It's pretty cool. I'm going to set the spline camera to be component on actor. And now I'm going to do the third person character. There we go. And now it should track this guy right here. So if I play and I go, he will be tracked no matter what. Which is really cool. So you can track moving actors, which is just really awesome. But yeah, that's basically it. If you are still a little confused on the spline camera, on how to make it, all it is just a blueprint actor, a standard blueprint actor. We'll call this Spline Camera 3 because I already have one, name 2. And then you just go and you click add on the components, you do spline. You want to do spline, not spline mesh. Okay? And then under spline you add a camera. Okay? And then under that you add a AC spline camera. And there you go. That's what I did. That's all it is. And then in the level, when you drag this in, if you want to add spline points, click the point, click the square, and hold Alt. Hold Alt as you drag, and it'll add more points. So yeah, that is basically it for the Ultimate Camera System V2. If you run into issues, there's a Discord that you can join, and I can help you there. Thank you.